I came across her, crying in the woods one day. The path I had taken had led me astray, and though try as I might, I could not look away when she told me her name was Pandora. Pandora, Pandora, I simply couldn't ignore her, and as I wiped off her tears, I began to adore her. She was some new sort of being amidst the flora and fauna, and so I asked her what made her so sad. Sad, she replied as she sat there and cried, when you learn what I've done, you'll feel wretched inside. I've unleashed such a beast, it would be better I died, and all because of this dastardly box. A box? I inquired, for I'd so much admired her, I'd quite failed to notice the box she'd acquired, but I felt waves of such love, and I was wholly inspired, and so I asked her to tell me her tale. Her tale, yes, her tale, she began to regale, though as each soft word was spoken, I began to turn pale, and as I learned more and more, I could feel my heart start to fail, as she told me of what she'd unleashed. She'd unleashed to the world through the box of this girl all the suffering of spirits and demons that swirled, all the cruelty, disease and tempests were unfurled, and at that moment I cried out helplessly, "Stop! Stop now with your story, Pandora, my love. Yes, you may seem so heavenly, sent from above. We can't get them back in the box, no matter how hard we shove, and so now I think I must be leaving." "Leaving?" she asked with such shock on her face, and I turned from the girl with a quickening pace, but she held fast on my arm and kept me there in my place, and she told me to listen once more. More than anything, I wanted to just run away, but her clasp was so firm I had no choice but to stay. She pointed down at the box and said, "Listen, I pray. There's still something that must be let out." "Let out?" I exclaimed in a voice oh so pained. It was clear to me now that this girl was insane, but despite how much I pleaded, my words were in vain, as I heard the key turn with a click. Click-clack went the key, but before I could see what came out of the box next, I had got my arm free. I was up from the mud and away through the trees, and I ran, and I ran, and I ran. I ran through the woods past the babbling brook. There was no way of knowing now which path I took. I was away with the wind. I didn't turn back or look, till at long last I found my way home. Home now. And safely. I wouldn't go back if you paid me. My brain was racing so much I thought soon I'd go crazy, and as I plunged into a chair, I tried to not let it all faze me, until I saw what was sat on the table. The table had been bare just before. I had not been mistaken. However, now it was not. I was visibly shaken. I had run from Pandora, and no box had been taken, but now it was sat in my sight. My sight must be failing. There's no other way of explaining how this box followed me back. I was desperate, wailing. Was this divine intervention or the god's way of mailing? But then a voice came from within. "With intrepid explorers," it began now to say, "comes a curiosity for life that cannot go away. There's a reason our paths came together today. You must trust that it comes from the good. It's the good that prevails and through darkness avails, like the wind to a sailor that opens their sails. You are tasked to seek goodness in all of life's trails, and it's a task if you commit to, there's no reason to fail." "Fail, but I might," I shouted back in despair. "How can I find this good in our lives when such evils are there? There's a global disease and so many things are unfair, and I'm just one little person alone in my chair. What on earth can I really do?" "Do?" said the voice with no uncertain glee. "Well, that's really the only thing left you must see. You see, the box is not empty. There's one more thing to be free. Try not to be frightened now. Listen to me. You need the courage to open the box." The box was warm in my hands. I could not understand where the voice had come from, but I had only one plan. I took one deep breath in, and with all that I am, I opened the box one last time. Time seemed to pause, or speed up, I'm not sure. for all of a sudden I felt something so pure. Diseases seemed weak in the face of the cure. Inequality couldn't last if we cared for the poor. The problems of the world seemed to lose all their power. I could have stood there a second, a year, or an hour. This new feeling consumed me, the possibilities endless. They now stretched out before me of ways to live and be selfless. I wish to tell you the feeling. It was so potent, I felt it. I could taste musical chords and hear all the colours now melted. And somehow it made sense. That old myth I once read of a girl whose box opened and spilled out so much dread. But now she was gone. Pandora vanished before me, like a ghost who for too long had been locked in her story. The voice came back and said, "Now you know what must be done. Live your life, seek out goodness, show some kindness, have fun, solve problems for others and seek new resolutions. Don't let suffering overwhelm you, try to find the solutions." "And what if I fail?" I asked meekly. "Do I really have a choice?" And though I knew now the answer, I heard once more the voice. "Don't be foolish, my friend. Just act wisely. You'll cope. For any box that holds hardships is to a box that holds hope."